President Biden facing growing criticism for how he commemorated the 22nd anniversary of September 11th. First, Biden ditched tradition, and he didn't attend any of the memorial ceremonies at the attack sites. But instead, he was at a military base in Alaska. And there he began his remarks by cracking a pretty odd joke. Who jokes on the anniversary of 9/11 as your first remarks? Putting that aside, he also told a mistruth. He claimed he visited Ground Zero just one day after the attacks. Not true. Even though we all know, we have the facts, we'll show you, he was in Washington at the time.
Governor Dunleavy, it's good to see you. Governor and I have something in common. We're both from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I wish I had him playing in my high school ball club that I was playing. But could have been an All-American having you in front of me. When evil attacked, Ground Zero in New York, and I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
One problem, he was not there the day after September 11th. We have the facts. And then on the same day, the nation remembered the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil. President Biden announced a prisoner swap with Iran, a country his administration designates as a state sponsor of terrorism. Harris, I mentioned we have the facts. In President Biden's own autobiography, 2007 book, he wrote, this is about the day after September 11th. I headed back to the Capitol the next morning. We also have a Wire report that the New York Post highlighted. It's a Gannett Newswire report, and they say Delaware Senator Joe Biden spent Wednesday exactly where he wanted in the U.S. Senate. And then roll tape. We actually have tape of him on the Senate floor. This is on September 12th, 2001. So why would he tell this mistruth yesterday?
This is the best he can do at this point. And if this had not been on display before that, we certainly know it now. It may have felt that in his heart, that it was the very next day and he wanted to share that, but it's not true. And we've seen him do this over and over and over. We saw him do this with the train he said he always took and that he knew the conductor or somebody on the train. And the family has spoken up many times and said, well, at the time that he puts our relative at, he was deceased. So that's not actually possible. This is the best that he can do for us and for himself. And resoundingly, it's not enough. Mm-hmm. And I feel for him. I mean, he is aging before our eyes, going into retirement while still on the job. But I agree, this is not about age, Kellyanne. I think you said it. This is about the ability to do the job at any age. Mm-hmm. And if he had problems finding the truth before, which certainly Republicans are unearthing that right now with regard to their 3 Republican-led investigations, then with no memory or a collapsing memory, it's going to be really hard to find the truth now at those big moments. But something else struck me, and I mentioned this on the air just briefly yesterday, and I feel strongly about it today. Kamala Harris was ready for that backdrop of 9/11 at Ground Zero. She was ready. She told us at least 3 or 4 times in the last several days, most recently to Margaret Brennan, because I think you and I talked about that yes, I am ready for the job to be president. He's called her president a couple of times in his own administration. Flub-ups, yes, but prophecy, who knows? But at this point, she steps up as he sits down, and the whole time he was standing there in Alaska, we were watching, my team was watching yesterday afternoon, his eyes were down, downward, and he was swaying, and I thought, good Lord, don't let him fall. Because if he falls from a standing position, we got big problems. As a nation. How do you even explain not giving that man a chair at that point?
It's inconceivable. And Kellyanne, it was important to President Trump to show up on September 11th at various sites. I went with him to Shanksville. I know you were with him on several occasions. But if you're a staff member in the White House, I mean, you were senior counselor to the president, you'd think if your leader is not leading from the top and saying, I want to do this, someone would go to him and say, this is important, Mr. President. Someone would talk to him about his words if he's incapable of empathy. I mean, President Trump, it was always pitch perfect patriotism, love of country. Why can't he do that?
And in fairness, President Obama and President Bush also went. We have 22 consecutive years, except for this one, of presidents from both parties taking a quick trip to the Pentagon. It's pretty close to the White House. I don't think you need GPS to know that. Quick trip trip up to Ground Zero or over to Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But I think it was deliberative. You know, Kayleigh, I have a feeling that the advance teams already had 9/11 planned out for each of those presidents and then said, this is our plan. What would you like to do? Nobody is capable of doing that with President Biden. And by the way, nobody is capable of cleaning up his provable lies. That's what gets me about yesterday. When he says where he was on September 12th, nobody expected him to be here on September 12th. I expected him to be here on September 11th this year. The problem is that he wasn't here this year, 22 years later. Not that he wasn't there. By the way, everybody who was in Washington was told to stay in Washington. President Bush himself couldn't get up here until the 20th or so to give the famous speech because it was toxic. They were cleaning up. We all know what happened. So I don't like that this White House can't even say he misspoke. In fact, he's been to Ground Zero so many times that he misremembered the year he was there and say something. But the jokes, they're not funny. Playing the lullaby as he's leaving the stage and telling everybody that he's going to sleep. It's not funny. Harris, I have to respectfully disagree. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for this country.
Yes. Oh, I feel sorry for both.
That's right. I want people to start listening to his words. If we just talk about bumbling, stumbling, mumbling, we're going to get him again as president. I want them to start listening to what he's saying.
In those words, you know, Emily, so he visited Ground Zero, I think it was more than a week later. So he incorrectly said it was the day after. I want to point that out. But he always has to insert himself into tragedy. And we saw this in Maui when he talked about the house fire. And we also saw it when he spoke to a Gold Star mother who lost her child, one of those 13 heroes in Afghanistan, on Joe Biden's watch. Here's what she had to say about how the president inserted himself into her tragedy.
Myself and the other families of our 13 were waiting for the plane arrival to the United States. When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death.
Empathy does not start with I. We all know this. The continued pathetic nature of what comes out of this president's mouth to me is so beyond disheartening. I argue, actually, you said it well, Harris. You know, what if he falls from a standing position? He already has. He has fallen figuratively from a standing position, from the standing position that America held for so many years. The notion that what came out of this administration in defense of him going, or of him not being in one of the World Trade Center or Shanksville or Pentagon locations for the first time in 22 years, being that, well, Pearl Harbor, presidents were going to Pearl Harbor 22 years later. The patent offensive nature of that, the heartbreaking concept that a place becomes less important with age, that Americans are in less pain, even though more have died since September 11th from 9/11 related injuries than they did on that day. And this president turns his back on that concept and then wraps it around his own finger for his own personal gain in a lie. It is unacceptable. To your point, everyone should listen to exactly what's coming out of this president's mouth. It is non-empathetic. It is wrong. It is a lie.
Stephen, his legacy of September 11th, 2021, is the Taliban raising a flag
Exactly.
over what should have been victory. And then his legacy in 2023 is unleashing $6 billion in funds to a state sponsor of terror, Iran.
Exactly. That's why this whole story captures the calamity of the Biden presidency, the performance, the absolute humiliation for this country to be led by someone like that. Led is not even the right word. It's just so humiliating for America. But the substance, to your point, it's the substance. He was sold to us as the great foreign policy guy, all that foreign policy experience. His foreign policy, among all the other catastrophes, is probably the worst, precisely for the point you made. That Afghanistan disaster led directly, not to the deaths of those people there, those American heroes, but to the Ukraine war. Putin wouldn't have invaded if it wasn't for Biden's Afghanistan catastrophe. What a disaster he's been.
That's right.
I would just add quickly, we've been talking about how this is the first president in 22 years that hasn't gone to any of the attack sites. I would add in, or the White House. And Kellyanne, you're right, we knew last Thursday, because we have it on tape, the White House press secretary telling us that they knew that he wasn't going to be at one of those attack sites. They could have gamed it out then, moved around his refueling on his way back from the G20, and certainly at least touched him down to where he could speak from the White House and hold something there in the Rose Garden or wherever they were going to do it, or run around the corner to the Pentagon. A little bit more than the corner, but you can get there. And
his campaign strategy is to look presidential. Well, you can consider yesterday a massive, massive fail on that front.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.